Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with another video for the night. So, this final video for the evening is going to be about probably the most sexist article I have come across yet this year, and we're barely even 2 months into the year. So, this article is from Decider, right? And it's about uh, the heroine in this image here, Battle Angel Alita, and her boobies. So let's continue. Right, so the title of this article is Alita Battle Angel on HBO. Why do cyborgs have breasts? An investigation. You know, the question used to be philosophical stuff like, are cyborgs human? Do they deserve human rights? Are they sentient beings? Do androids dream? Now the question we're asking is, like, why do cyborgs, like, even have breastises? Like, oh my god. But, seriously, I can't believe that there's an article about this, and I can't believe that I'm doing a response piece to it. But anyway, as I said, this has to be the most sexist article I've come across this year. And you'll see why in a few moments. And I want to be clear, I have taken certain segments of it to respond to, but I will leave a link in the description box so that you yourself can read the article and decide for yourself, right? Don't just take my word for it. Look into it yourself. So this is the article about a cyborg's breast. This is just peak 2020. But anyhow, the article is written by Anna Menta, right? So I would assume female, given by the name. Now, the blurred out spot here is I blurred out their, I guess you could say Twitter handle or email. Generally speaking, I'm not in the practice of I guess shielding people online. I'm of the opinion that if you've got the guts to put your name on it and to put your Twitter account and all that, then you have the guts to, deal with feedback and backlash and all that. But in the interest of not being accused of sending hate, I don't think. Well, first of all, anybody on my channel knows that I would never condone sending hate. But my channel is, like 160 people. I don't think they're all going to rush over there to give this person a piece of their mind. But again, to protect myself more than to protect them, I have obscured their Twitter handle. But you can easily find it in the article, right? All I got to say is, if you do respond to them, please be respectful, right? We don't have to dive down into the muck of insults the way a lot of SJW and progressive types do, right? I'm not encouraging you or telling you to contact them. Whether you do or don't is your decision. All I'm saying is that, for my benefit and for your own, if you do, please be respectful, right? We can be respectful even in heated disagreement. But anyway, so here's the first part that I wanted to address of this article by, I'm going to assume, given the name, if I'm misgendering, I apologize, but Miss Anna Menta of Decider. So here's the first part, right? Or at least it's a bit into the article. So she gives us a brief summary of the particular part of the movie that she's talking about where, well, rather, I should say this is the setup. So here's the situation, right? It reads, a quick primer for the uninitiated, right? This is summing up some of Battle Angel Alita and sort of building up to the question of the boobies and all that. So it says, a quick primer for the uninitiated. We're on Earth in the year 2563, and a scientist named Dr. Dyson Ido discovers a cyborg with a broken body but a working human brain. He puts her in a new body, names her after his dead daughter, and essentially adopts her. Now, let me give you my understanding of this, just given what she's written. Now, I know that, we women are inferior to men and all that, and our brains are smaller, and so doing the thinky things is hard. But reading this, I would assume that Ido is, in a sense, using Alita as a sort of substitute for his deceased child. So, I don't know, maybe that factors in to the change in her body later. I'm just saying, I mean, given what this says here, it sounds like, he found her, he saved her, right? She had a broken body and a working brain, right? He gives her body and names her after his daughter and adopts her. So, according to progressive doctrine, right, he's the evil, patriarchal, oppressive authority that has stripped her of her identity. Right? This is the way I believe that most progressives could or would interpret what Ido did. So let's see what happens, right? So here's the next part. It says then, eventually her newfound love of fighting gets her new body damaged. So Waltz puts her in a new body. This new, interesting term. New body transfigures itself based on how the person inside of it sees themselves, which is how we get Alita, looking pretty much like she did before, but sexier. And it continues, it's the adaptive technology of the berserker body. The shell is reconfiguring to her subconscious image of herself, Waltz exclaims, watching her bra cup size expand. I've never seen anything like it. Looks like she's a little older than you thought, comments Walt's assistant, which is played by Adada Victor. Well, again, I know that, women are inferior to men and everything, right? But if my thinky brain, right, it's hard, but if my thinky brain is working properly, right, I would understand this as maybe this is Alita's way of asserting her own identity and her own personality, right? Separate from Ido, separate from what Ido initially sort of rebuilt her as, which is a substitute for his deceased daughter, right? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's her again, envisioning herself as the article states, right? That the shell is reconfiguring to her subconscious image of herself, right? So she's causing whatever this berserker body does. It's causing the self-conscious image that she has of herself, right, of her true self. Because again, as the other part stated, she has a human brain. So she does have this subconscious idealized version of herself, and this body is molding itself to her image of what she looks like. So I know, smaller brain, I'm not as smart as a man and everything, but I would imagine that this could be seen as her asserting her own identity and literally reclaiming her own body by creating it to be the idealized version of herself. But again, I'm probably wrong, being a female and all, right? But anyway, let me get to this part. So this is going back to progressive Anna here, Anna Menta, right? She's commenting again, and she says, listen, I'm not saying the entire movie is garbage, but this moment is objectively ridiculous. As New York Times reviewer Manola Dargis wrote, why does Alita, played by Rosa Salazar, who has a human brain, even have breasts? Why does any cyborg that isn't a sex bot or a wet nurse, or rather, why does any cyborg that isn't a sex bot or a wet nurse You know what? I don't know, so I decided to ask a cyborg. Yo, Major Kusanagi, why do you have boobs? You're not a sex bot and you're not a wet nurse. So why do you have breasts? Alas, neither her or her voice actress, Mariam Elizabeth McGlynn, would answer my ever so pressing question. Boo-hoo, I am so sad. But real talk, real talk. Right, I've been kind of a jerk. Trying to be a little funny with this up until this point, but really this is probably this is the part in the article that really like got under my skin, because at least in my opinion, this section right here is ridiculously, painfully, obscenely, offensively sexist. Why does a being, right? Why does a person who has a human brain, in this case a human brain in a fully cyborg body, right, even have breasts? Why does any cyborg that isn't a sex bot or a wet nurse? First of all, in my opinion, this is just so objectifying. So apparently, a leader's body, right, and by extension, a woman's body, right, is only good for sex or the result of sex, which is children. So we're only good for making sexy times and for making babies. Thank you, fellow woman, Anna Menta. Thanks a lot for giving value to our literal person. Thank you for totally reducing us women down to our sexual function and our ability to give birth. Thanks a lot. I feel so valued as a woman. Right, so there's that. There's that part. Right? And even if you overlook the ludicrousy of a full body cyborg being a wet nurse, which again, I'm not into robotics, but last I checked that would be impossible because breasts are made of fatty tissue, right? There are glands and whatnot, but a lot of it is fatty tissue, right? And a cyborg body is going to be made of steel, right? And other types of metals. So I don't really see how a cyborg form could be a wet nurse, right? But it's just so objectifying. So the only reason that a cyborg could have a desire coming from her own subconscious mind to have a more womanly body, right, is because she wants to be a sex bot, right? That's her only value or a purpose. But real talk. I want to address this part here, right? Why who has a human brain, right? So a woman. Why would a woman, or rather let's just say person, right? Why would a person with a human brain, right, even have breasts? Well, let's Major Kusanagi aside, let's actually examine that, right? There are many reasons why a person might want breast, right? There is the fact that when you are female and you are growing up, right, especially if you want to be an adult, right, growing up, right, breasts are a sign that you are growing and maturing, that you are going from a child to a young woman and a young adult, and it is something that is easily identifiable and distinct to the female form, right, and unique to us. So there's one reason, right, because it'll make you feel more adult, more grown up. I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm a woman, as that stupid Batman song says, or Batwoman, I should say. I'm a woman. But anyway, there's other reasons, right? More than just ego or self-image, right? There's also anorexia. Now, some of you may recognize the picture of this young lady here. Some of you may not. This is WWE pro wrestler Alexa Bliss. Now, I chose her and I chose this picture for a very special reason. Alexa has had fake breasts, and she's freely admitted this, ever since she was 17 years old. Why? has she had fake breasts since she was 17? Because in her young life, I think she's barely 30 years old. She's gone through two very severe bouts of anorexia, as in was hospitalized and could have died. This is how serious it was, and she's been very open about that. Right? She's gone through these bouts of anorexia and is very open about the fact that she struggles to this day with body image issues. Right? So this is serious. And according to her, one of the reasons why her parents allowed her to get breast implants at 17 years old is because, again, she was anorexic and dangerously thin to the point where she could have died, right? So if you're that thin, your body's not going to have a lot of body fat on it, which means you're not really going to have sizable breasts. And what they decided on and agreed to, letting her get these implants, was to help with her self-esteem, to help her feel more womanly, right? To help with her self-image. Because again, she still has, right? It's not exactly something that goes away. This very dangerous condition, right? Where she doesn't necessarily always see herself the way she actually is. And this helps her cope with that, right? And a lot of women who are in fitness and sports and whatnot deal with body image issues, right? And a lot of them get breast implants because it helps them with the body image issues. So there is that. Then, of course, on the other side of it, right, there can be people like, say, drag queens who get breast, or at least create the illusion through their artistic stylings that they have breast, at least while they're doing drag, right? Because again, breast equal, grown adult woman, and the point of drag queens is that they dress up as these very hyper feminine, hyper exaggerated caricatures of women. And then there are others, such as trans women, right? Who, for them, getting top surgery, which in the case of a trans woman is going to be breast implants, is immensely important because it oftentimes will help alleviate, or at least alleviate some of the gender dysphoria that they feel about their bodies. So there's actually very serious reasons why a person might get breast implants. There are also other reasons, such as, for example, a woman who has suffered with cancer or had a mastectomy. She may elect to get breast implants because, again, right, the cancer or the surgery or whatever it is, right, the treatment can sometimes be just as bad or worse as the affliction. But anyway, right, I shouldn't say many, but some of those women will elect to get breast augmentation surgery because their illness or the treatment for the illness literally ate away at them, right, and ravaged their bodies. And now again, right, to help cope with the mental and emotional impact of all that, they decide to go through with this surgery that will help them feel a little more like themselves, help them feel like a woman again. And that is immensely important. Self-image, self-perception, and being comfortable with your self-image and your self-perception is immensely important. And to act as if it doesn't matter just because the character in question has a metal body but a human brain, in my opinion, is just so insulting, right? In my opinion. Maybe I'm just taking it too seriously, but that particular part of the article, like, why even does she need breast, just got under my skin so damn bad. I don't know, maybe because she wants them. Maybe, again, from what the other parts of the article said, maybe, just maybe, it's her growing up in her own way and creating her identity that is completely separate, right, and completely her own, separate from her adopted father figure. Maybe it's that. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Then we have this final part that I wanted to focus in on. Again, I want to be clear, I'm not covering the entire article. I'm just covering certain parts that really just pissed me off. But anyway, so it says here, breast on cyborgs, androids, and robots have long been a convention of the sci-fi genre. And the real reason for this, of course, is because 9 times out of 10, it's straight men designing the robots. Straight men love to see mechanical boobies. Some movies, like 2015's Ex Machina, are upfront about that fact. Alicia Vikander, character, was canonically designed by a hot-blooded male programmer, Oscar Isaac, and therefore she has a sexy body. Now, I have no comments for the movie reference. I haven't seen it, and therefore I don't know what the content or the context is in that regard. But I'm going to address this in a more, general sense, which is that this is such an Anita Sarkeesian argument to make. It's the presumed straight male player all over again, right? And you can see that this person's already made up their mind about the conclusion, because it says, and the real reason for this, of course, is because straight men like boobies, right? There can be no other explanation for it, right? It has to be the presumed straight male viewer or player or something. It can't be the fact that maybe, I don't know, women have boobs and we want these robots who we're modeling after ourselves ultimately to look like us, right? Or to look like people we would see in the world, right? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the fact that, women can actually appreciate the beauty and the form of another woman. Sometimes it can be a sexual appreciation, not going to deny that for women who are attracted to women, but even for women who are not sexually attracted to other women, you can appreciate another woman's beauty and even her sex appeal, right? And the form of her body without having it be a sexual thing. Believe it or not, and I know it's shocking, but even men can appreciate a woman's beauty and a woman's body, even if, or rather, I should say, in the absence of sex appeal, right? Whether that man just doesn't find her sexually alluring or appealing, or again, in the case of, say, gay men, right? Who are not attracted to women sexually, but many gay men find women who have these very aggressively feminine and aggressively sexy personas, right? Cher, Madonna, Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, and Shakira, and all these others, right? They tend to have a strong gay male following, and it's because they are fierce, right? They are fierce in their femininity, right? And while gay men, especially the more feminine types, right, they at least from what I've observed, I'm speaking as an outsider, but from what I've observed, they find empowerment in that, and they try to emulate that in their own way, right? They can't be women, but they can at least try to take something from the display, even if on a sexual level it has absolutely no appeal to them. There's so many reasons why a person or a group of people would want a female robot to look like a female robot and have breasts, right? Have noticeable boobs. I'm not talking about, again, Alita's chest is not, here we go. Alita's chest is not like obscenely large or anything, or like comically large. Maybe this Anna, right, would have an argument if maybe these were like, how do I put it? If these were like boobs that you might see in certain Japanese cartoons that are adults only and that begin with the letter H. If you're an anime fan, you probably know what I'm talking about. And yes, at one time I was indeed a woman of culture. But anyway, it's not like it's that type of hyper exaggerated, so over the top, it's comedic display. This is a perfectly reasonable bust line. There's nothing untoward about this, about the costume, the design, or anything else. In my opinion, this article is written by a woman who has hang-ups about either her own body or perhaps the female form in general. I'm not sure. But to be so sexist just because you don't understand something or you don't agree with something, it just boggles the mind. So to answer the question of why do cyborgs have breasts? Well, maybe it's because the humans who made them want them to look like women. Maybe the humans who made them are making idealized versions of themselves or people they know. Maybe, and in the case of the film, maybe, just maybe, it's because Alita is creating herself all over again, right? Instead of being the replacement for a child that Ido lost and will never get back, she's asserting herself as her own being, her own person, and using the berserker body, which conforms to her internal thoughts, right? How she sees herself, not how Ido sees her, but how she sees herself. It is conforming to and creating that. So maybe in the end, it's her way of asserting her freedom, her individuality. Maybe really, it's actually empowering. I know, shocking, but maybe, just maybe, it's an idea that's maybe, just maybe, crazy enough to work. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all next one. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.